welcome to the channel. It's a beautiful day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and I'm glad that you could join me. Welcome. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for joining me. So, as you can see, it's overcast. It's supposed to rain, but we are working on the 6000 STE Trail Mower. So I think we can finish it this video. I mean, I think we can do it. It's mowing, right? We got it mowing the last time. So now we just need to kind of deal with some minor issues, like, you know, violent belts and things. So let's get up to the barn and see if we can't finish it. This is going to be a good video. Whew, we just beat the rain. So I apologize for the loudness, but let's take a look at this thing. All right, so last video, it works. We got it to work. It mows. It turns everything. Everything is fine, except for it's violent, and I mean violent. And so if you watch the clip, well, here I'll throw it in. Here's the clip. So you can see that this thing is kind of right. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, Kix, just go buy that $15 spring and all of this will be fixed. Well, maybe. I did go to the store. You know, I had to go get groceries and stuff. And I was like, well, while I'm here in town, I picked up another one. Yeah, $3. So we're into it for $6, right? I mean, not 15, because, well, being cheap always ends up biting me in the butt. So we'll disassemble this, and what I'm thinking is we'll put the spring from like here to here. So we got like dual springs, because if one spring is good, two springs has to be better, right? And then I noticed this was kind of flexing still, and I don't want that so tight that it doesn't have enough to move. So what if we welded like a piece of angle iron across the top, so that way it could still move this way, but not this way. Kind of, you know, strengthen it up a little bit, because there's, you know, a lot of leverage on that. So I'm thinking we weld like a piece of angle iron or flat stock or something across here, so this can't move up and down, but it can still move side to side. We throw another spring on it, and then if you looked up there in the video, that's violent up there too. But I still have this one. So what if we just popped a hole in it here and just let it touch? Just, I mean, not like, you know, not push a lot of drag on it, but just make it so the belt has something to slap against other than our piece of angle iron. I mean, I'm just thinking, but I think we give that a try and see if we can't get this thing to work and not be as violent. So let's go with that. Step one, remove the spring. Again, well, not again, but, you know, remove the spring on this one. Oh, this one is, the last one came out way easier. And come on out of your home. All right. Done. And we got another hook and another handle. Cool. All right, spring, check. Got that off. We have the, you know, pulley for that, just, you know, just to hold a little something so it can't slap so bad. Now all we need to do is find a piece of like angle iron. So we're at 10 inches. Dun, da, da, da. Remember this one? Used to mount up here. Let's see. We are at 11 inches. So we're going to use this. Let's just cut this thing and we'll just weld it in there. That'll be great. All right, let's get to cutting. Dun, da, 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 done. So that ain't going anywhere. It can't move up or down, but it can move side to side, no problems, with ease. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Kix, you should have made it bolt in, so that way if you ever had to remove the tensioner or mess with the tensioner, it's just easy access, because it ain't going forward. There's a lump there, and it ain't going backwards now. But I figured, that's future Kix's problem. No, I'm kidding. I talked to future Kix, and future Kix said, I got a cutoff wheel on a welder, so burn it. So I did. I burnt it, because that's what future Kix told me to do. So let's move on to mounting the pulley up here and see what we can do about just putting a little bit on that belt. Not going crazy, because we still don't want drag, but let's see what we can do about figuring out a nice place to mount that. And, well, I'll show you my idea. All right, so here's my thoughts on this belt issue. So I got that old John Deere pulley, right? And maybe we'll just make it touch. I mean, when it was flapping, it was coming out this way, not so much in. So we just kind of lightly touch it, no drag. And remember that all thread that I cut off, well, here's the other part of it. We just go down like that, just enough to kind of touch it. Plus, because it's cupped, right, you would think that it would help the belt from not jumping off, because it can't move up and down. So, and it's completely adjustable. So we'll just punch a hole right here, put it through, nut, and then we can make it adjustable just like our tensioner, and we can adjust this where we want it to ride, but we'll just lightly push it against there just to keep it from going, crazy. I mean, because that thing was it was going crazy. So I think that'll work. Let's put this all together. All right, there we have it all together, and it's just barely touching. It's just barely touching the belt. You can hear it. I mean, so it's working more of a guide than, like a tensioner pulley or anything. So I think it should just keep that from slapping so much. And the nice thing is it moves. So it's not going to bind up everything. So that's pretty much a guide that we made out of a pulley. So the pulley is now a guide. Yeah. And I green Loctited it. So that's where it's staying until I take a torch to it. So let's get this thing flipped back around and work back here on another tensioner spring. All right, it's all turned around. So here's what I did. I straightened the end out a little bit. This end is still the same as it was. And I'm thinking like that. And then I measured this spring. So from, without the ends, from the springed part, it's 6.5 inches. And this one is 4 inches. So I'll just mark it right here. And then add 2.5 inches. Drill a hole, put a bolt through it, a couple nuts, and we've got it tensioned. So it's going to be a dual spring tensioner setup with a keeper pulley thing and the tensioner pulley, and you know, it looks super complicated. So yeah, that's how people are going to think we're smart, because they're like, whoa, that's super complicated, when all reality, the smart people make it look easy. So I guess this isn't smart, but maybe, or it is smart. Well, people think it's smart, but it's not smart. Anyways, yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to measure 2.5 inches from there, knock a hole in it, throw a bolt through there, and it should be good to go. Boom. That just happened. All right. It's all finished. It's, yeah. And is it stiffer? Yeah, it is. It is definitely stiffer. So, I like that. I think that's going to be good. All I have to do is adjust that, because if we recall from earlier, last video, whatever, that belt was running high. So, I'm going to just adjust that up since we can. We built it adjustable. I'll adjust it up a couple turns or so. And then I think we're ready to give this thing a shot, see if it'll work, and get all these metal shavings off here. But yeah, so I'm going to adjust that, clean the metal shavings off of it, and then we are ready to give this thing a test. All right, so as you can see, that spring is too tight. I cannot push it with my foot. I can push it a little bit. I just can't. I can't push it enough to take the slack off of there. So I was thinking, if I stick, you know, a pry bar in here, see, I can move it a lot easier. However, when we get to about here, it slides off. So right here, we need a little bit more, like maybe a hook. If only I had a hook laying around. Oh yeah, that's right. The hook that came off of the spring thing, right? I mean, the gift that keeps on giving. So how about if we weld that on something like that? And then we can put, you know, a lady slipper or whatever, and then just pry it over, start it, and then off we go. And we could even turn that into some kind of handle eventually, because, well, there's a handle also that we have laying around. So let me see about just tacking on like a hook there and see if that will work. So let me get to that. All right, hook's on. So like that, and then I could put my foot against there, or maybe we can start it by hand. And then, hey, if we can start it by holding this and then pulling the cord over here, I mean, I don't need to wear shoes anymore. So that's a plus. So let's give this a try. I was going to say, let's round number 2, but I think this is round like 500 or something. So yeah, let's see if this thing will start now. All right, so it works. I think it's a little tight. However, I noticed when I held it here, just a little slack off of it, it ran just fine. That's almost too much drag there. The motor is bogging down. So I think if we put like a spacer in one of those holes to kind of hold it, or, I mean, the springs are nice. So maybe we need to make a stop where it can't go any further. And I'm thinking if I just pulled it back about there. So let's put a bolt in there and see how this works. All right, there we go. So it's just a 3/8 bolt, right? And then I put a bigger nut on there, and it actually hits against one of the sides of the nuts. So, right, and it stops it. So we have, you know, it's not too much drag. It's not bogging down the motor. If that's not, that kind of looked like the right size to me, that nut. If not, I went through the junk drawer and I found this, and that's a little bit bigger. So let's see if this will work, and if not, we can replace it out with this one, which has, you know, 3/8 hole in it, and see if it's any better. But I think that's going to work. So let's see if it will, it'll work better now. It works. That was a lot of monkeying around, but we got it to work. So I guess all that's left to do is to test this thing out. So let's go get something to pull it. Well, my camera decided to cease to record, so I had to get the spare backup camera, which has some funny volume. But anyways, so the next couple of scenes, I apologize, I had to refilm them because, well, my camera decided it did not want it to be filmed, and it corrupted it and whatever. So yeah, the next two scenes are kind of hinky, and you can kind of see like there was stuff I'd already done that. Yeah, anyway, so I apologize, and I apologize about the sound because this second camera is a little different too, but yeah, I thought I should explain that one. Alright, so before we get this all hooked up, there's two things I think we need to do, just two little things. So I think we should probably put some kind of kill switch on there, like a piece of wire going to like a rope that we can, you know, wrap around like our wrist or something, right? And Yeah, so that way, you know, if we fall off or something like that, we can just kill the motor by giving it a tug. And so we'll do that, and then I'll show you the second thing we need to do. All right, here's what I got. So it's just a piece of wire wrapped around, tucked up in here. That way, in case it does fall off, the wire sits on the exhaust, not the paracord. And then all we do is from, you know, back here on three-wheeler or whatever we're pulling, just pull on it. Kill switch engaged. Nice. So let me show you, well, I'll get this up in the barn and show you what the second thing is. All right, here's the second thing. I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, you're going to make some kind of mount. No, we're just going to use a bungee cord. That'll be fine. Here's the second thing. Branding. Dun, da, da, da. Oh yeah, 6000 STE. We need to represent. So how about if we get this thing bungee corded to the back of Ducky and see how it mows? This is going to be fun. Well, we just beat the rain. I made a lap down the hill and back up. You know, barely even did one trail, but, well, let's look at this thing. Well, I'm going to call it a win. So, it worked just fine. Kill switch, that was great. The thing that really impressed me was this hitch. Believe it or not, it turned great. I mean, yeah, the motor bogged a little bit in the thick stuff, and it kind of took me a little bit to figure out the speed it wanted to go at. But once I figured out the speed it wanted to go at, and, you know, in the woods it did amazing. That's really what I wanted this for, was for, like, the woods trails. And it did great. It was only in that really thick field stuff that it kind of bogged, and I think it just needs to be adjusted higher, and, well, some bigger wheels might be nice, but hey, I think for what we have into it, the whole $15 pulley and then $6 worth of springs, this is a win. It definitely would mow like a lawn and any kind of flat, good grass. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for subscribing. You know, I really appreciate that. And don't forget, be blessed. Peace. Where did you buy that thing? It's so nice. Oh no, we didn't buy that. No. Yeah, me and my YouTube subscribers built this thing. But the branding's so crisp.
I mean, it looks like you bought it. Yeah, no, we didn't buy it. We built this. It's a 6000 STE. Oh, like the Pontiac? No, not like the Pontiac. Be blessed. Peace.